Are you still sick?
Yeah.
That's tough.
2 weeks, bro.
Maybe it's
2
COVID.
weeks. It's pissing me off because I can't gym, I can't train, I'm getting...
Sounds like excuses.
Yeah,
I gym when I'm sick.
I should just kill myself. You know, the gymming, when you're sick, it doesn't hurt you now, but what it does is it weakens your heart. So when you turn 30, 40, you're going to have some problems.
Who wants to live forever, eh? Live fast, die young.
So what are you gymming for? For the now? These gains will only come in the next few years. Yeah, I'll be fucking dead, bro.
I don't know.
Don't gym when you're sick, bro. I'm serious, though. You're going to fucking die.
What did Ricky Gervais say? Eat and drink as much as you want, because who wants to live till they're like 95? Being old does look really...
Looks horrible, man.
Yeah. Imagine not being able to walk properly.
But I think it's also about looking after yourself. If you look after yourself, it's not that bad.
Yeah. That's why I gym. Even when I'm sick.
No, that's counterproductive. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I can't lose these gains, bro.
Oh, goodness, bro. You like a Ninja. Ninja was so scared of not streaming because he thought he'd lose subscribers, so he spent almost 24 hours streaming constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the bag, but what cost?
He didn't his wife leave him? I don't know why I'm laughing.
No idea,
I don't know why I'm laughing.
No idea.
I think his wife and him broke up, and now he just spits like game on his streams. It's nice.
Shame.
Like self-help stuff. It's cool.
I don't like Ninja.
Why not?
I'm glad that happened. No, I'm joking. And he sold out, man. He sold out, and he became so arrogant. Like, he used to say, like, if someone beat him in the game, he's like, I can fucking buy you and your house, bro. That's how much money I can buy your whole life.
Became one of those.
Like, the money got to his head, and people clown him for it.
Yeah, I don't think he's like that anymore.
Mm-mm.
He probably had like a mental breakdown.
Knows?
It's probably because you're streaming so much, he couldn't like physically relate to people anymore. He's so involved in Twitch. But
it's when you're on that come up, you think you're untouchable.
Yeah.
So you think you can say whatever you want.
It happened to Logan. It happened. Did it happen to KSI? What happened to KSI?
Nothing really happened to KSI. Maybe his downfall is still coming.
Maybe his downfall was like behind the scenes. No one knows about
Maybe.
it.
Well, he had that whole thing with his brother. But I wouldn't say that was a downfall.
But that was more like Deji also freaking out. Deji had a bit of a freak out.
Deji freaked out.
Deji freaked out, yeah.
Some brother jealousy, I think.
Yeah, I would never publicize my family relationship like that, ever.
Well, that's what happens when you're in this YouTube game.
You have to publicize everything.
Well, you don't.
You don't have to, but some people do.
You end up doing it. Like, Logan made his whole proposal on like, he made it public.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a bit personal.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, imagine asking your fiance, just wait, I'm gonna propose to you now, but can I take a picture? Like, can we set up? Can we set up the time?
Is someone recording this? You get my angle?
Yo, is the lighting good? Is the brightness high enough?
Should we move? Sorry, babe. Should we move? Speaking of making things public that should be personal, have you seen the Jonah Hill DMs?
I didn't see anything. I'm actually interested. I want you to tell me about this.
Yeah, so Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend posted her past DMs with Jonah Hill, and she made it public on Instagram.
Wait, just for clarity, Jonah Hill's the guy from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's always known as.
I get him mixed up with Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover.
Oh, that.
I get them mixed up.
Right. But yeah, they play similar kind of characters. They're like the fat guy who's funny. I mean, and I don't want to be offensive to Jonah Hill because I actually think he's a cool guy. He's a cool actor.
Yeah.
But what happened was his ex-girlfriend, recently posted their past DMs on Instagram stories, and she made them public. And basically, it was just Jonah Hill saying that he has these boundaries that he doesn't want her to cross. So he's basically saying, look, I'm not comfortable with you. She's a surfing instructor, but he said, I'm not comfortable with you always posting these pictures of you in a bikini with these guys that you're surfing with. He says that's not. He wasn't very comfortable with that, and then he also said that he doesn't want her being friends with her
Client.
girlfriends that are like who had these bad past life, like these like
Bad
how
in
do I
what,
say it?
bad in what sense?
Kind of like they're anti-marriage. It's like
Promiscuous.
yeah, promiscuous.
There
Let's
we
say
go.
that they're very promiscuous. That's what I'm assuming. He doesn't want her hanging out with them because he thinks they're a bad influence on her. And he was basically setting these kind of boundaries, and he was saying, yeah, if you're not going to do this relationship's not going to work. And so his girlfriend is taking the stance of his ex-girlfriend, I should say, is taking the stance of his abuse. This is a emotional abuse. He's trying to control my life, kind of thing. And so she came out into the trying to get the public behind her by saying, "Look at him. We were in a emotional abusive relationship. He's not a great guy, and his future wife should know this." So the context of this, she's posting this while he just recently had a baby with his fiance. So this is kind of looking for me. This is looking bad on her because the timing is really off. It's really off.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the boundaries that he was setting?
The boundaries that he set.
Yeah.
So personally, for me, I like, if I'm with a girl, I like them to go out and have fun with their friends. If their friends have that background, it's not really like an issue for me because I have built that trust with her that she's just there to have fun with her friends. She's not going to try and like get involved in what they're doing. I know Andrew takes the other point of view, is like, why would you put your Lamborghini in like a dodgy area? Because you're asking for it to get robbed. But I don't know, like, it doesn't really bother me that much because like if I know the girl well and I know what she's like, if she wants to go out and have a good time, she can go out and have a good time. It doesn't really bother me that much. So that kind of boundary, I can understand why he might set it. But specifically for me, I didn't really mind girls going out and having fun.
And what do you think about the bikini? She's a surfing instructor, but posting bikini pics with other guys.
Oh, see, this is where my marketing brain switches on because that's like business for her. That's how she brings in clients, like showing. It's almost like a testimonial for her job. So showing that you're training these clients and you're showing that you're surfing with them. That's kind of her showing off her job. I haven't seen the pictures firsthand, so I can't see why.
It's just like basic bikini pictures.
Okay, she's not like posing in like a specific way.
No, but she's in a bikini with some guys.
Yeah. Well, what else do you surf in? Like, what else can she surf in?
Well, people were saying
you
wear a wetsuit when you surf. You don't need to wear a bikini.
It depends what kind of water.
No, but I don't think you'll find surfers in bikinis. Yeah. They're all in wetsuits normally.
Yeah.
That is the uniform.
Yeah.
For surfing.
I would need to see more of the photos, and to get more context, but because then you're kind of playing the line between, is he being insecure or does he actually have a fair point, and then she's trying to seek attention like unnecessarily from other people.
Right.
Because then you are pushing his boundaries.
I think for my take on this is there's nothing wrong with having boundaries. I think boundaries are very important, actually.
We spoke about this. Important. When did we speak about this?
Yeah, we spoke about this, I think,
2 episodes.
2 episodes ago, yeah. Boundaries are extremely important. But what I think is interesting is this is what happens with insecure men. I do think there's insecurities being displayed on Jonah Hill's part. In that you should have made these boundaries clear before you got into a long-term relationship with this girl.
With the surfing instructor.
Exactly.
You knew she was a surfing instructor.
So what happens is when a man is insecure, and he probably, looking at Jonah Hill's history, he's always had like the stigma of, he's just a fat guy that's funny. And that's not a great thing that, like, he doesn't always want that stigma.
Obviously not. No.
And so he's obviously got some kind of insecurities coming up in the acting world. So what I think happened was he was so insecure that, and I think this not just applies to him, but it applies to a lot of men. A lot of men do this. When they get a girl that likes them, they're so passionate with them and they're so happy that, oh wow, this is actually someone that wants to be with me, that they don't set those boundaries within the first few weeks of meeting that girl. So they're allowed to go on. They're allowed to go on for a couple of months, and then it builds up, and then eventually they start to build resentment, and they start to get upset, and then that's when they come out with, yeah, no, these are my boundaries now. You shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
If you were a secure man, you would have made those boundaries clear from the beginning, because then it wouldn't be a problem. Then the girl would be fine, because then you say, yeah, these are my boundaries, and she could be like, yeah, I'm not happy with those boundaries. I like to live my life a certain way. Maybe this relationship's not going to work. And he'd be like, you know what? Cool. That's fine. You don't want to meet my boundaries? That's fine. Maybe we're just not meant to be together. Then they go their separate ways.
Yeah. It is a big step for people to set those kind of boundaries, though. Because what you'll find is some people think they're overstepping by setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
And then what that will manifest as is them becoming passive aggressive when they step over those boundaries, or their partner steps over those boundaries with them, and then they kind of like are passive aggressive towards you, but they don't outright say why they're passive aggressive. They're just like, you stepped on my boundary, but you don't even know that I have that boundary. They're hoping that their like passive aggressiveness kind of signals.
Yeah, but that's why I say it's not.
That's
the way
what
you
I
should
do,
be
by the
doing
way.
things. No, but like people do it, but it's when it comes to setting boundaries, people don't set it the right way. Often because they're just happy to have this attachment, this connection with the girl, or they're not confident enough to just lay it on the line. And that's why I think a secure man would just be comfortable in, these are my boundaries. If you cross them, then this relationship's not going to work, and therefore we're not going to start dating right now. But it's much easier when you set it from the beginning than when you don't mention them in the beginning, let it linger on, and then mention it middle of the relationship.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
What did George Janko say in that thing I posted on boundaries? He said he doesn't set boundaries saying, if you cross this, I'm out. It's like, if you cross these, I respect myself enough to remove myself from the situation.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's how much respect you have for yourself. So if a guy goes into a relationship with almost no boundaries, well, then you don't have a lot of respect for yourself. And I don't think it's going to be a good long-term solution in your relationship, because your insecurities will eventually come out.
Yeah.
But then that's just what I think on Jonah Hill's part. I think Jonah definitely could have handled the situation better.
But also,
for sure.
Why are you posting it on your story?
Exactly. That's where I think it's a immediate no-no. Why are you sharing personal conversations with the public? What's your agenda? What are you trying to get out of that?
Well, she got exactly what she wanted. She got attention.
Exactly.
She wants attention.
Exactly. I watched a psychologist talk about this, and she said, when you react in the moment, it's a cry for help. When you react 1 year, 2 years after the situation, it's a cry for attention.
Yeah.
That's what I think's happening here. I think it's horrible that she's taken the stance of, she's trying to make Jonah Hill look like an abuser, trying to ruin his career. I think that's a horrible thing to do.
And his marriage.
And his
relationship with his kids.
That's the big thing. It's the timing of it. So you come out of this when he's just had a child with his new fiancée. The timing makes her look just bitter and like she hasn't gotten over him yet. And that she's just trying to be spiteful and narcissistic.
Yeah.
To get everyone against him and everyone on her side. That looks like narcissistic behavior to me.
It does. Speaking of Wolf of Wall Street characters, Margot Robbie. Have you seen, apparently there's is surrounding her. I heard this is secondhand information, so this might be wrong, but we can maybe check it on Google. I don't know.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie is getting hate for the new Barbie movie because apparently she's not pretty enough to play Barbie. I actually don't really want to talk about this. This is so off topic. Do you even want to get into this?
No.
I didn't want to get
into that statement, Margot Robbie's not pretty enough, is instantly wrong.
Yeah.
Instantly cut off there.
Next topic.
No, but let's not just jump from the Jonah thing. So,
yeah.
What do you think about her behavior in the situation? Because some people argue that she's just trying to warn other women and show women like, this is what an insecure man looks like, and you shouldn't go for guys like this.
Your first port of call should always go to the person you have a problem with. Go to Jonah and say, Jonah, I don't agree with your behavior in this situation, this and this. And then he says, and then depending on how you respond to that, then you take your next step. But I don't think going to Instagram like that is ever the right idea. It reminds me a bit of and I didn't agree with this as well when Noah Schnapp posted DMs with, I think it was, God, what's her name?
I have no idea who Noah Schnapp is.
Noah Schnapp is from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like Cardi B.
Like Cardi B.
She's kind of like Cardi B.
Make the stallion.
No. She shaved her head recently.
She shaved her head?
And she dyed her eyebrows blonde.
Whoa.
She wanted a bit of a mad one.
I have no idea what this is.
Crap, what's her name?
Nicki Minaj, not Nicki Minaj.
No. Closer, you're getting closer, you're getting warmer.
Doja Cat.
Doja Cat.
Yes,
Doja Cat. So
okay.
after the release of Stranger Things new season, there's this guy he was a new character introduced, and Doja DM'd Noah Schnapp. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
And said, yo, send me his @. Like, I can't find him on Instagram. And Noah Schnapp posted on his story straight away, look, yo, Doja Cat's like DMing me to get this guy's Instagram handle. And there was a conversation saying, oh, what Noah did is not wrong. For me, like why are you exposing someone wanting like another person's DM?
I think that situation is not as bad as the Jonah Hill one, because that one's just like a random person DMing me.
Yeah.
Whereas the Jonah Hill one, it's like we're in a personal relationship. We're sharing personal details about our intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Why would you share something like that to the public?
Yeah. No, that's for me. What she did is wrong.
Yeah.
There's no defending what she did.
And I actually saw it's disgusting that she's trying to make him out like an abuser. I actually saw the psychologist that I watched. Her point on this was she's more of the abuser in that situation. She's trying to take advantage of their intimate relationship to get attention and clout for her movement, and she was making it like a feminist thing. She's saying like, yeah, he needs a feminist in his life to like he clearly doesn't care. She called him a misogynist and said he doesn't care about women. And
what do you think about the counterpoint of she's trying to warn other women about Jonah's behavior?
I mean, it kind of like I get it, but it goes out the window
with the context.
With the context, it's the timing. It's like you're not doing. Stop pretend. I think she needs to stop pretending like she's doing this for other people. She's not. She's doing this for herself. It's narcissistic behavior. It's get the public on my side. Everyone hate him because I'm bitter, because I'm jealous of his new life. That's what it looks like.
That's exactly what it looked like. As soon as you explained it to me, I was like, this is stupid.
It's just butter, and it's ugly.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see stuff like that. In terms of the boundaries, what boundaries are acceptable? I can see the point in that his boundaries can be seen as a bit cringe, a bit insecure. Like, why are you so worried about?
Yeah. So the battle I always play with in my head with opinions on this specific topic is coming across as insecure because you don't want your girl to go out without you because you're scared of what she might do.
Right.
And also being like, how do you say, what's the word I'm looking for? Andrew Tate uses the word being territorial, right? Like you protect what's yours. So why would you let your girl? But then you're saying like your girl's your property, and then that gets a bit tricky to me.
And I take the stoic point of view in that no one belongs to you. Yeah. Only you belong to you. You can't control what others do.
Yeah, I don't like the view that your girl's your property. She's a human being.
Right.
So if she wants to go out and party, she can go out and party. But if I find out you did anything, I'm gone.
Right.
I'm gone.
Right. I think the part of him not wanting her to be around the promiscuous friends, I get it. You don't want your friend to be around bad influences. But at the same time, you have to have trust. You have to trust her and trust in your relationship. That, yeah, sure, friends are a bad influence, but you got to trust that she's smart enough to not do what her friends tell her to do.
But you know how guys are. Not us, of course. Never us. But when a guy is in a relationship goes out, he's like, bro, look at that chick. Yeah, that's it. And then they get, you know how guys get.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys get like, I've seen girls get like that as well.
So that's maybe a concern you could have.
For sure.
But you know, if you trust your girl, she's going to just feel like, shut up. Don't talk about that.
Exactly. If I'm in a trusting, loving relationship, I don't care what my friends are telling me to do.
Are we blue pilled or red pilled by saying this?
I like to think we're more in the center.
I feel like the red pill crowd would say no, you got to be territorial, and the blue crowd would be.
I don't take that point of view. The red pill. I like I say. I think I like the stoic idea in that no one belongs to you. Only you belong to you. That's why I like the idea of setting boundaries. It shows that you have security in yourself, and that if you cross this, I'm looking out for myself here. That's not a good thing for me, and I'm not going to go along with that.
Yeah.
Therefore, this relationship must end. Good for you. Go find someone else. I'll go find someone who will fit into my boundaries.
Yeah. So should you let your girl go out to the club by herself? I would say yes. If you are secure in your relationship, you shouldn't have to have a Hawkeye on it all the time.
On her own, though. For me,
not on her own.
Yeah, you just said by herself.
Oh, I mean, crap. Let me rephrase.
I mean, without you.
Should you let your girl go to the club without you?
Yeah. I think that's fine. If she's with her friends who wants to have fun, go for it.
Yeah.
If she's on her own, I'd be like, well, why do you want to go on your own?
Yeah. The only real concern I have for clubs, girls going to clubs just with their friends and by themselves, is the other gents that want to, or the other people that want to like spike your drink and stuff. That's when I start to worry about.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so when I do know girls are going out by themselves, I just say, look, if there's any problem, message me straight away. Message me. I don't give where you are. I'll come and fetch you. I'll make sure something happens that you get home.
Yeah, if you're in
for my sister's friends, I always make sure I check up on them when they go.
If you're in a good relationship with anyone, you have that communication, and you just say like, yo, talk to the friends. Like, friends, if anything bad happens to her, please call me. I'll come fetch her. I'll help you out.
Yeah,
it's just about having that communication.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys don't understand why you need to be that kind of careful. But if you have a sister, or you have had a girl go out to the club, and you've seen what guys can do to girls in clubs, you understand exactly why you take those kind of precautions.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I've seen it's happened to some people close to me, so it's not fun to have that kind of thing happen.
It's dangerous. It can be dangerous. So just have that communication.
Yeah. Speaking of more celebrities coming out with interesting news, Dele Alli came out in an interview with Gary Neville and explained basically what's been happening with him over the past few years. And for our non-football fans, Dele Alli was one of the most talented English football players about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the most talented attacking midfielders in the Premier League, English kind of star boy, blowing people away with what he could do on the ball. And about 3 seasons into his stardom, kind of just fell off a cliff and became pretty much irrelevant. He went into the Turkish league or something, and everyone couldn't understand why someone so talented just decided one day to give up on becoming the best footballer he could be. And he came out in an interview recently describing exactly what he'd gone through and how it had affected him. And I think a lot of people now are starting to sympathize with why his career took such a sharp turn. And I always said to you, I've always said to other people, Dele Alli was never the same after his house got robbed. I think he was held at knife point or gun, one of the two.
They broke in with his family there.
Yeah,
at knife point.
And after that, I don't think he was ever the same. So my theory is that triggered a lot of past trauma to come up, and I think that he just couldn't deal with it, and that kind of spiraled his career into what it is now. But the point I want to raise with this is, first of all, fair play for him coming out on an interview and explaining exactly what happened. For him to come out and say what he said takes balls. Takes serious balls, because he's not just doing it for himself. He said in the interview, if this interview helps just one person, I'm happy that I came out and said this. So I thought it was really brave to come out and say what he said. And another thing was, it made me think, do we maybe give footballers, celebrities, people in the public eye, do we give them too much hate on the internet? Are we too quick to judge them and say, you shouldn't be doing that, without trying to understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes? Because Dele even himself said he let the narratives run sometimes because he just didn't care. He didn't care what people said about him on the internet. And one of the points you made in the interview is I couldn't let people lie about me anymore. I couldn't take the lies anymore. I had to come out and say something about what people were saying about me and clear the air, because he got this rep as this party boy, or he's lazy, He just doesn't care about his career. There was a specific clip in one of the documentaries they did about Dele Alli where Josie said, "Oh, you're a party boy, you're a lazy. I want you to work hard in training." What they didn't show in that documentary was a few weeks later, Jose came to Dele Alli and said, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. You're not lazy. You're one of the hardest workers here." So there's so easy for media to spin these narratives about people in the public eye, and for people to feed into those narratives on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. And I just think I think Dele Alli's sort of taken a stride towards us maybe considering maybe the context behind the actions some people take online.
I think, yeah, the media can have a narrative and social media can have a narrative, but at the end of the day, you can only comment about things on what you see. And what we've seen is that Dele is a party boy, and he likes to have fun and be a bit crazy and wear cool things, and he does, and that's what
hair.
Yeah, and that's what people can maybe take him, like, from what they're seeing. That's the impression that they're getting. So I don't think it's always the media just running the narrative. It's also about what are you showing us? Show us who you are. If you want yourself to be displayed correctly, then show us who you are. And it's obviously a lot of pressure, but when you're in the limelight, that's what comes with it. That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's what happens. But that's why I'm glad he did this interview, because it's just clarifying. This is what people needed now, and obviously people are gonna now talk about him differently because he's come out and he's given the context, and that's all people need. People won't be hateful to him now on the internet. Well, I'm sure you'll get some.
Still get hate,
yeah, for sure. But now most people will be more compassionate, understanding of his situation.
The sensible people will be more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, fair play to him for coming out, discussing it. It's tough. And I understand when you hear about the trauma that he went through as a kid. I think you said he got molested by a family member.
Got hung off a bridge.
He's
made to sell drugs as a kid.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah, I mean, with a history like that, it can lead to a lot of trauma. And from what I'm studying now about trauma is it can obviously affect your everyday life because you become so preoccupied with that. If trauma is not, if a crisis is not handled correctly, it leads to trauma. And trauma can impact your everyday life because you'll be stuck in that mode of alertness. You never feel safe. You never feel secure in yourself because it hasn't been dealt with, and you're literally stuck in that way of thinking of, I'm not safe right now. And it can obviously affect you in your everyday life. You become preoccupied with your trauma. So obviously he wasn't going to have focus and drive to do his football because he was obviously worried about his own trauma. And like you say, the break-in definitely could have triggered it again. And so, no, definitely more understanding to why his career fell off the way it did.
Yeah, so he also said he got addicted to sleeping pills in his career. So he said he couldn't physically be in his own head. So it started with him after training. You know, you have adrenaline pumps and you can't get to sleep after training sometimes. So that's what footballers normally take sleeping pills for. Is to, after training or after a match, they need to sleep so they can be fresh for the next day. And he said he was taking them pretty much all the time. And he would deny to his family. It's just like, Daddy, you can't be taking these pills. And he would just deny, I'm not taking these pills. I'm not drinking too much. He would just deny because he didn't want to face the facts. And I think he's gone to rehab now and he's sort of seen a light.
That's awesome. That's good that he's getting the help that he needs. And it's not it's so normal that when someone has deep trauma that they end up having an addiction because they're not dealing with the trauma. So it's affecting them badly in their everyday life. So they take drugs and they take alcohol to forget, to try and numb the pain. But like we've discussed before, all these drugs, alcohol, all it does is it's numbing it, but it's not dealing with it. And so it just prolongs the pain.
Yeah, and it's sad because it'll either push a person to kill themselves or with trying to deal with their trauma with these things, or they'll have like a moment of reckoning, like I think Dele had, where he ends up fixing himself. Just hope for Dele that he can stay on the party line.
And the thing with trauma is it's so difficult to deal with, because when you try and deal with your trauma, you often have to relive it, and reliving it can be terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
I wonder
That's why so many people don't try and
wonder if
deal
they're
with
gonna
their
go
trauma.
hang Dele off a bridge now.
Huh?
I wonder if they're gonna go hang Dele off a bridge again now. He has to relive that.
I mean, who knows? I mean, being molested as a child, that can be extremely degrading. Uh, yeah, it's not easy to deal with. So, like I say, all this stuff, it just gives the context into why his life ended up going the way it did. But respect to him for coming out, because it really can inspire people to take a look at their own trauma and see, wow, look where his life went. I don't want it to get that bad. Let me go and sort my stuff out.
On a less serious note, prime Dele Alli coming back to Spurs.
Honestly, I only wish the best for him.
Yeah.
And I truly hope that they can turn his career around.
Yeah.
And honestly, he's still young. There's nothing stopping him from getting back to where he was.
I think that might actually be a way to gauge how well he's doing, is if his football career takes a bit of a turn now. I think it'll be a good way to see if Dele's actually doing better. Because when he was doing okay, but even when he was performing to that high standard, I think he was still not as bad as he is now. But I think he was still probably coping with other things.
For sure.
But I think we'll really see if Dele Alli's truly doing better in the way he responds with his football career now. So I hope he starts to kill on the pitch, because that's kind of like confirmation to us as outsiders that he's doing better.
Right. No, I agree. And I honestly wish the best for him. To maybe change the topic a bit, what do you think? I mean, we've discussed this a couple of times. What do you think is the best way to control your ego?
Control your ego. First of all, to control your ego, you have to acknowledge that you have an ego. And I think egotistical people don't acknowledge they have an ego. So as a studying psychologist, what are some hallmarks or some signs that someone has a bad ego problem? Because if people can't identify they have an ego, they're not going to solve their ego problem.
Well, the first thing is very egotistical people don't talk about other people. The biggest thing I see is they talk about themselves all the time. It's narcissistic behavior, first of all, but it shows that they don't have the ability to try and understand, and they don't take an interest in other people. They're only interested in themselves. And I think it's so easy to get stuck into that mentality, because I think the world kind of is catering for us to go in that direction. If I look at social media, if I look at capitalism, it's very individualistic. We live in a very individualistic society. And this is what we spoke about last week, I think 2 weeks ago, about collectivist societies and individualistic. So. Individualistic societies put so much emphasis on the individual. They become so self-conscious, but then they don't really do things or put their time into moments that will be for other people. It's only self-serving. And when you become self-serving, you become extremely egotistical and you become obsessed with yourself. And that can lead to being overly self-conscious and being overly anxious, because you're not living in the moment. You're living like, what am I going to do? Well, how do I progress? It's me.
Yeah.
And if I look at the way Instagram is, all these social media platforms, what we promote is, get as many followers as possible, get as much money as possible. People will love you and respect you. Look how many people love you. Look how many people follow you. It's all driven for yourself. And that's why I think people in modern society are becoming extremely egotistical.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think social media's had a big impact on how narcissistic and how egotistical people are. But I saw a cool video, funny enough, on social media, and it's like the easiest way to tell if you're a narcissist or not is to look, do you believe that there are better people in society and that there are people who are not as good? And do you constantly strive to prove to yourself and to other people that you are part of the better people? If you do that, you might have narcissistic qualities. So that's one way to kind of identify, are you a narcissist? Do you have an ego? I think if you're trying to constantly prove that you're better than someone else, that's how you identify that you have an ego.
Yeah. Because you assume then that people are lesser.
You assume that people are below you.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the basis of an ego, is like, I'm better than you in this way, in this way, in this way. And you try and prove that you're better than them in the way you act, in the way you speak. And that's when people can be perceived as being egotistical, because of the way they act, because of the way they speak, because they talk down to others, because they're just trying to show that they are bigger and better than you in some way.
So how could you relate to any of that? Do you think that you've had an ego, or how do you control your ego?
Yeah, I think as I said in past podcasts, I'm very competitive, and that stems from a bit of an egotistical personality trait I have, and that I'm constantly trying to prove that I'm the best at something. And look, sometimes I don't mind it. Sometimes I don't mind that I'm trying to prove that to myself and to other people, because that kind of gives me a competitive edge over people. If I'm constantly trying to strive for a bit more, I naturally have a competitive edge over other people in certain areas of life. But I think in other areas, like, there's certain areas of life where you can't have that kind of approach. For example, I'm trying to think of areas you wouldn't want to be egotistical. Like, I especially think the common one we always see is in conversation. When you speak to a person and they don't ask you a single question about yourself. They just want to talk about them the whole time. That makes you boring. That not just boring, it's just like, it makes you almost repulsive in a way, because it's like, you're not taking an interest in me at all. And not because I feel the need for you to take an interest in me. It's just like, it's nice to have that kind of back and forth with someone, instead of just hearing about your biography. Like,
well, when you take an interest in someone, it's acknowledging that I don't know everything and I'm not the center of attention. That's how you can see, oh yeah, your ego's not that bad. Because if you're taking an interest in someone, it means you're acknowledging they might know something that I don't. And I could learn from them. And I think people need to have that approach with every person they interact with, not just with people that they think are above them or that think are more competent than them. You have to assume that the guy on the street, the guy you meet passing by, no matter what job he's doing, no matter what life he's living, even if he's like a bloody alcoholic, assume that maybe I can learn something from this guy. Maybe he has knowledge that I don't have. But I think an egotistical person will be like, he's poor, he doesn't really have a job, he has no real ambition, what can I learn from this guy? I don't think that's the mentality people should have. You should have the mentality that you can learn anything from anyone at any time.
That's a nice perspective. Because I have found myself doing that sometimes. Like, why would I speak to that person? What value do they add? And that's not the approach you should come with.
What's also worrying about that is like seeing everyone as value. It's like, okay, you're this much. You're that. That's like what you were saying about seeing better. There's better people and there's lesser people. I think, and it's a common thing in society. It's like we see people as value. It's like, you're not really smart, but you're very pretty. Yeah, there's some value there. I'll go talk to you. It's like that's what leads to this egotistical mindset of seeing people as value, as numbers.
And it's all self-serving as well, because you think,
of course,
because in you going to approach the person that's good looking, and you going to approach a person that has a certain amount of money, you then associate yourself with that person, and that boosts your ego.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be friends with him. He's got a lot of followers. Oh, that's value. High value.
It's all transactional.
I'll be friends with him. He makes me valuable.
You treat your friendships and your relationships like an economy. It's like, I got to balance the books here. I can't be in debt to that person because he sucked some value from me and I got nothing back. You can't look at it like that. It's very transactional. Looking at your relationships and friendships like that.
Exactly.
And it sucks the life out of you. And to be honest, people can, like, the genuine people can see through that. They can see he is just working the crowd to his advantage here. Exactly. He's just trying to get the next best thing.
So some ways I think can control your ego and can be more self-aware. always question yourself. Stop thinking that you're right all the time and that your way is the right way.
That's so hard, bro. That was one of the biggest things I struggled with.
Really? Why?
My way was my way is the only way to do things. People like, if you're not going to the gym 6 days a week, like you like, what are you doing?
Right.
You waste, like, are you sitting, you sleeping in? Waste of time.
Right.
Why would I engage with you? Like, not on my level. That was one thing I struggled with a lot. Now I just realize people have different time schedules. People do different things. They spend their time differently. Not everyone's thing is going to the gym, even though I personally think it's useful to go to the gym.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Exactly. So yeah, that point of just stop question yourself as well. Like, stop thinking that your way is always the right way. Maybe think, because that will make you then open to listening to people for suggestions. Like, oh, maybe he's got a way that can be better for me, and not being so arrogant as to thinking, he won't know. I have all the answers. Assume that maybe other people have the answers. Be okay with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. You don't have to be right all the time. And then, yeah, take an interest in other people. Because other people are interesting. And don't just think, I'm the most interesting person in this room. Other people are interesting too.
I also think dissolving your ego is a very freeing experience. You'll find you have a lot more energy once you learn to attack your ego. It's going to be difficult at the start, but everything is difficult at the start if it's worthwhile doing.
Right.
When I first kind of became aware of my ego and tried to dissolve it in a way, it was so difficult, because you literally question everything you've ever done up until that point, and how you've acted in every situation up until that point. But once you get past that and you start accepting that you have issues, and you start accepting that you're doing things purely for yourself and not for the greater good, you then start to relax, because there's less pressure on you. There's less pressure for you to always be getting the best out of someone, or trying to suck value out of someone, or try and network with the next best thing. It's more like, I'm here, I'm present in the moment, and whatever comes to me, hopefully it's good. It just kind of, things start to flow more.
Yeah.
In your life, flow in your life. Good things start to flow in and out of your life, effortlessly. It doesn't feel like an effort to go and find the person that's going to help you make your next million. You kind of find that you just bump into people that are going to provide that value naturally to you,
right?
Because they see you're a genuine person and they want to have a connection with you. It's not because, as I said, people can see through when you're egotistical and you're just putting on an act to try and work the room. People see through that stuff.
Yeah,
we've seen guys like that all the time. Girls like that all the time. It's very, and I said, like, when you're a genuine person, and the genuine people are the people you want to be connecting with, people you want to be networking, they see through that straight away. So you can say, oh, I'm a networker, I'm a hustler. People see through that. High value men and women see through those acts that you put on.
Right. But then I like that you say it takes away the pressure. It also takes away the pressure of having to be high value all the time. I don't like, why do I always need to offer something to someone? Or why do I always need to prove to myself that I'm good enough and I'm worth it?
Yeah.
Why do I always need to prove that? Like, be secure in yourself, know what you offer, and don't feel the need that you need to demonstrate that all the time. Be secure in yourself, know what you offer, and know that when people interact with you, you're going to have a positive influence on them. And you don't need to prove that all the time. You don't need to prove that you're high value, and you don't need to hold yourself to these like, I know we spoke about this last podcast about how it's good to hold yourself to a standard for yourself. But I think what having a big ego does is it makes it harder to be kind to yourself. You treat yourself almost the way you treat other people. It's like, you're not good enough, you're not adding value. Then that reflects to how you talk to yourself.
I think it's probably the other way around. The way you talk to yourself is the way you often treat others. So you find people who are harsh on other people are probably even harsher on themselves.
Right.
They just have like some kind of social training to restrain how harsh they are on themselves on others. They have some sort of social training. Yeah. Damn, I had a point and I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna go on. I was gonna carry on what I was saying. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, you watch the Shia LaBeouf thing where he talks about his ego death, and what I liked about that is, well, he talks about how when you become so obsessed with yourself and your ego, you just end up hurting the people around you a lot of the time for your own benefit. and you end up pushing people away from you.
Mm.
Is what can happen if you become so self-obsessed.
Yeah. Also, that's what I was gonna say. But just going back to the child above point, you reminded me. Also, when you work on your ego and you dissolve your ego, the world becomes like 10 times more interesting because you walk around and you look at people now. It's not like you're comparing yourself to anyone. It's like, damn, I could talk to that guy and we could have the best conversation ever. I could go talk to that girl now and we could have she could teach me something I've never even thought about before.
Right.
You look at people as everyone has something to add value. Everyone has something to add to your life. Not as I can speak to him, but not him, because he's not going to add value. He looks like the person I want to talk to.
Right.
Stuff that. Everyone has something to add. Everyone can teach you something about yourself or about something they've gone through that can then teach you.
Exactly. And that's where it comes to that idea of not thinking your way is the way all the time. Acknowledging that people have their own ways and maybe those ways can be integrated into your way. Not just being stubborn in that, oh, only my way is the right way.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking.
Yeah. I was also thinking now with my addressing my ego and myself, I found it I no longer related to some friends as much because I realized I was only friends with them for my ego. To feed to feed my ego. So I think what a cool thing we could maybe talk about is talking about finding the right friends and knowing when to cut a friend off. Because they especially in your 20s, transitioning from high school to university to work life, you're gonna lose people, and it's about losing the right people and how to do that. And I think, especially out of high school, I lost a lot of friends who I realized I was only friends with them because it was transactional. It was purely based in our egos. Like we fed it, like we built each other up for certain things, but behind the scenes, it was breaking each other down the whole time. So I think there was like a big filtering process you'll go through transitioning to your sort of your early 20s to your mid 20s, where you'll find out who really is with you, because you're also finding out what you want to do with your life. And you'll find that even some friends who like are cool to hang out with, are like nice people, you find you cut them off anyway because they're not going to follow you on that journey. There's no point in talking to Bob from Joburg, who's doing a mining degree and working a 9 to 5. If you want to be like this head honcho entrepreneur who wants to go work in the States and like Silicon Valley, like sure, Bob's a nice guy, you can catch up with him every now and then, but he's not going to be in your close knit friend group, because that doesn't kind of make sense, because that's a kind of like a situational issue where you may want to stay friends with them, but you can't, because they not going to hold you back, but it's just going to be tricky to maintain a solid relationship in that way. The other way you could cut friends off is if they don't suit your values, which is I think also what happens to people.
I was going to say you were talking more about careers and ambitions aligning with you as your friend.
I think that is a valid reason to sometimes lose a friend. If your life is taking a certain trajectory and that is a fulfilling trajectory for you, don't be afraid to cut off the friends that are naturally gonna drift from you as you work your way up that ladder. That's not a bad thing to do sometimes, even if they are super nice.
Agreed. That's why I like the stoic view. People don't belong to you, and you don't belong to people. It's like people come into your life, leave your life, and if to be honest, I think if you want to keep them in your life, then you would, to an extent. But then in terms of the knowing what friends to keep on a relational level, I think it comes with knowing, like you say, when you leave high school, I don't think you really know who you are and what you value. Once you know who you are and discover what you like and what you don't like, that's when you can start setting boundaries again. It comes back to that. You set boundaries, not just romantic relationships, with all your relationships. These are my boundaries. If you want to be a friend, these are the boundaries I have. And so you only figure out those boundaries when you figure out who you are and what you value.
Yeah. And I think a nice way to figure out your boundaries is to go chat to close friends. Like, how do I come across to you, Jansen? Was like, you always say, well, Harris, you like really value your autonomy. You're very sort of disciplined. And those are kind of where you can start to weed out where can I find my boundaries in these things? If I'm coming across like this to a friend, maybe these are certain things that I value and these are things I want to protect because they are good for me. But your friend also might weed out some things that are bad about you, like, oh, Harris, you stress too much, which is not a good thing. Okay, well, why do I stress too much? Okay, what am I valuing that is causing me stress? Do I need to keep that value? Do I need to protect that value with a boundary? So analyze those things as well. I think it's
exactly.
I think people, because it's difficult to self-reflect sometimes. Sometimes you need a little bit of guidance to kind of work out where things are going for you. So I think don't be afraid to have conversations with people as well, to figure out like what you value, to sort of help you find that path of what friends you should be keeping, what value you should be protecting, what boundaries you should be setting up. Because your friends often give you that outside perspective that you need to self-reflect even more.
And that's the other problem with having a egotistical mindset, is that idea of thinking, I know everything. Like, I don't need to ask for help. I can figure this out. I'm competent, I can figure out my problems. But being truly humble yourself and be like, you know what, I don't have all the answers. Maybe I should ask a friend, get some outside perspective. That's, like you say, there's a lot of benefit to having an outside perspective. They give you a new outlook on things. They might give you the answers that you've been looking for. They might describe something in a way that you've not been able to describe in your head. And so, yeah, when you're egotistical, you're all in your head and you think, no, I can solve these problems. And it just gives you more issues. It just gives you more anxiety. It just gives you more depression, because then you start to doubt your competency, because you're like, why can't I solve this problem? When really you just need to ask for help.
Yeah, that's actually happened to me when I try to figure out issues with myself. It's like I can't work out why I'm having this problem. I can't get to the root of it. And you like, then you get you get hard on yourself, because you're like, you should be able to figure this out. It's you. No one knows you better than you. And that's not entirely true for some things. Like sometimes other people do have that outside perspective, helps you understand you more, and you wouldn't have figured that out unless you spoke to the person.
Yeah. We talk about that concept a lot in psychology, about knowing yourself. There's parts of yourself that you do know better than anyone else. But there's also some things that people on the outside can know about you that you don't even think about, That's why it's good to have those conversations. Like, you actually get to know a lot about yourself when you start to ask people, talk to people.
Because that's interesting. I've always, especially like a couple of years back, I always thought no one knows me better than me, so I should be able to figure out all my problems myself. I never considered that people might be able to give like valuable outside information.
Because people, it's easier to analyze from the outside than from the inside a lot of the times. It's the same way it's easier to judge other people, but it's and say yourself. What they need to do. What they need to do right, but it's not the same to know what you need to do right.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. So it's good to be open to outside perspective.
I guess that's self-reflection, a guide to self-reflection. Look inward, but also look outward for advice.
It's like what we spoke about ghosting, about being alone with.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm thinking about. I'm just trying to untangle so many things in my head as we're talking this as well. That ghosting thing is a good example. Like, go ghost, figure yourself out, build up your finances, build your body, go to the gym. And we said, like, that's good for a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Maybe, yeah.
But there's this thing called, like, cabin fever. You can't just chill by yourself. It's a human basic need to interact with other people. You need to be talking to other people. Because that's how you go crazy. Like, was it Robinson Crusoe got lost on an island by himself? That book. I don't even know if it's real. But he ended up talking to like a coconut or something, because he.
Oh, you're talking about Castaway?
Castaway, Castaway.
Yeah.
Like it's there's living proof of people who isolated themselves for too long, not by choice sometimes, that lose their mind. Like, that guy was never the same, was he?
No, well, I don't know. I watched the movie, but in the movie he kind of just gets back together and then starts his own life. It doesn't really go into his mental. But obviously it changes you.
Yeah, I wonder if you can ever recover from isolation for that long.
There's some people, I think I heard a story, I forgot where I heard this from, but there was a guy who got put into, what's it?
It's a form of torture, isn't
it? Yeah. When they put you in the hole.
Solitary
confinement. There was a guy who was in solitary confinement for so long, it broke him. He couldn't talk. He literally, they broke his brain, because that's how important human connection is for humanity.
But they also deprive you sensory like stimulation.
That is, because
you're pitch black.
It's like being dead.
You can't see anything. You probably It probably smells like ass. It probably smells bad.
It's probably worse than
probably
being
cold.
dead. It's probably worse than being dead, because when you're dead, you see nothing and you feel nothing, right?
There's no consciousness. You are
Exactly.
consciously stuck in nothing.
You're literally consciously in nothing. That's how.
All you can do is maybe feel the wall that's like holding you in there. That's scary. That's my worst
proper
nightmare.
torture, man. It's so inhumane.
And you know what's crazy? You probably like start to lose your mind a bit, and you start to see things. And
oh yeah, you probably start hallucinating, for sure. Scary, man.
Oh no,
It's terrifying. It's scary what human beings do to each other. That's what's creepy to me. I think I saw a quote that said, "I pray that God forgives us for what we've done to each other." Like, there's some human atrocities that are just insane.
Yeah, like Jonah Hill's girlfriend.
Human atrocity.
They should ban
absolute atrocity.
Ban her Instagram account.
How long have we been going for?
55.
55.
Episode 8.
Man.
Good epi. That one flew as well.
Did fly by.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you're willing to express your struggles in the past. With your ego. It's like with Dele Alli. I mean, it's a bit different, but it's good to be able to. No, but it's hard to talk about personal stuff like that because you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's not easy to be vulnerable in front of a camera as well.
My thing is, I know how much addressing my ego helped me, so I just want other people to understand how much it can help them.
Right. And on that note, thank you guys. I hope you guys took something from this episode. Work on your ego. Ask for advice.
Don't expose ex's DMs.
That shit's personal.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself.
No one cares about your Instagram stories.
If you're thinking about exposing your ex a year after, once they have a kid and a new fiance,
you're just gonna look salty.
You should start looking inward.
You can start
Maybe there's something you need to work on.
You look salty. What do you look like? Yeah. Anyway, that's been episode 8.
guys.
Thanks for joining us. It's been Mad Sandwiches. Peace.